What up, YouTube? What up, YouTube? This your boy No Filter right here, hitting you guys again in the stream today. And today's topic is a topic I feel like I really want to address, and I think that it's let me see, let me make sure don't play back on this one. Okay, all right, I got this. Though I got this. All right, let's do this. Let's do this shit. Yeah, this topic right here is something. This topic right here is something that needs to be discussed amongst men, not just mental related, but this topic right here needs to be officially discussed, and I think that we need to have an in-depth discussion with it today. I really want to have a really in-depth discussion about this topic, suicide. And the reason why I want to discuss the topic is I've been wanting to discuss the topic for a long time, especially for somebody that's been on the verge of it, someone who was major depression, mind, mental issues, stuff like that. Um, I think that this topic is so important because the male suicide rate is a huge problem in America. And I think sometimes when we talk about, the male suicide rate, well, I think when things break down, when you feel like the world is against you, when you feel like there's no society, when you see society constantly hating you because you're a man in America, making it hard for you. You could be a father, you're trying to be a father to your kids, but the baby mama being a bitch the whole time, and she's being an asshole about it. She ain't trying to let you see the kids, the states, the divorce court sticking to you every which way. A lot of the times, and I think back to, I wanted to bring this topic up too, Robin Williams and Lee Thompson Young, like a lot of actors, a lot of men, actors, whatever, just men in general, just men. The male suicide rate is a serious problem in America, and I think sometimes when we talk about the suicide rate in America or suicide, the things that break down. So this episode, what this stream really is about, this stream is about recognizing the signs, recognizing when things are truly breaking down. Now I'm gonna try to break this down premisely. I know people sound like I'm reading off a script here, but I'm trying to keep my thoughts clear. I'm trying to get my point across and try to be very, whatever. I'm trying to really, understand. I'm really trying to get this topic down back because I really want to get my point across with this one. I think let's get to the first one. Okay. The first thing that leads to suicide, in my honest opinion, and this is my personal preference. This is my only observation of it because this is my experience with suicide. I think suicide breaks down is because when you feel like the world is against you, or when you see things are breaking down, or when you feel like there's no help. And I think a lot of the times, a lot of men commit suicide. This one I truly noticed. Men commit suicide because society don't give a fuck about them. And I understand, I don't condone it, but I understand why guys feel like, yo, a man, say for instance, a man may have a girlfriend or a wife, or he may have baby, a mother, he may have a kid with another woman, and he tells this woman, I'm not happy, and then the woman tells him, go ahead and off yourself, like. I think the reason why suicide amongst men is so high, I think, especially the suicide rate being at the rate that it is, I think a lot of times as men we kind of get to this open dialogue and we don't want to have it. Like I think a lot of times suicide is a very serious issue, and I think a lot of times we feel left alone. And that's why I often say, especially when the guy into relationships, this is for guys that get married, guys that enter relationships. That's why I always say, never isolate from your male friends. Just because you got a girlfriend, which I don't know why you got a girlfriend in the first place, but that's just my comments. That's my take on it. But that's why when I say if you a guy, you ever decide to enter a relationship, I ain't doing it. But if you ever decide to enter a relationship, what you must learn is never isolate from your male friends. Don't let your girlfriend, don't let your wife, don't let your fiance isolate you from your male friends. If you feeling down and depressed, talk to somebody. Go to a therapist. I mean, I know it's hard to trust therapists nowadays, especially with 90% of them being women nowadays in the therapist field. But what I mean is, we have to understand when it comes to therapy. I think therapy is a problem. And I think sometimes we don't want to admit that we got a problem. I think one, admitting that you are depressed, admitting that you got a problem. I think that once we acknowledge the fact that we have a problem, once we truly acknowledge the fact that once you have a problem, and if you can acknowledge, that's it. If you can acknowledge that you have a problem, I think not only it makes the situation, it makes it easier. It makes the conversations easier. It makes the pain much easier, much pain more tolerable and sufferable to deal with. And I think a lot of the times we don't want to. I say sometimes, even for men, sometimes we have that stubborn mentality, and I'm gonna do a stream about it too, is that the male ego. It's like, we don't want to admit that we're in pain. We don't want to admit that they're in suffering. And I think what people don't realize, I think sometimes, especially the male suicide rate being where it is, when I look at the suicide rate, I think it goes back to my point of expectations, wife, girlfriend, and following traditions. I think that what it does is that when you follow that tradition, and that's when you're told by society to go out there and get a wife and girlfriend, and it's your job to take care of this female, and then it's your job to take care of this kid. And that's why I try to tell as men, we're focused on yourself. And I think the suicide rate will not be where it is right now. One, I think if men had the very same resources and the very same support system that women have. And two, I think one, the expectations, putting yourself together. If a relationship fails, most guys be like, well, they will kill themselves because they will off themselves. They will off themselves because they feel like, well, what does do they feel like? They feel like they feel like it will be entered. They feel this what they feel. They feel that the world's against them. They feel like the society wants to end them and take their life away. And I think we really need to discuss this topic, because to me, I really want men to understand, guys. I understand it's bad out there. I understand it's hard. It's very frustrating taking from a guy that's been depressed before, somebody who's been suicidal before. So I've been on the verge of suicide, but I want to use the stream. So you guys got struggles. I don't got too many guys watching the stream right now, but for you guys, for those you guys that is watching the stream right now, I want you guys to understand, like, there's nothing wrong with admitting that you're in pain. I don't condone crying, but if you have to cry that pain out, you know what I'm saying? You may lost a parent, you may lost a friend, you may lost a loved one, you may lost whatever, or whatever. You just feel like the world's against you. Well, you may not the world's against you. You feel like society don't give a fuck about you. You trying to be a father, but your mother, the mother of your child is making it hard for you to be a father. The courts don't give a fuck about you. You get locked up. You're losing your job. I mean, it's a lot of things that we have to go into that breaks this down, and that will cause a person to be on the verge of suicide. I think a lot of the times we don't see how this is how Jenny feeling. I think we don't see what you call it. We do not see we do not see the difference. We don't see we do not see the difference. We do not see the difference. We do not see non-stop music. We do not shit, whatever. We do not we truly do not see the difference between, why I think when things truly break down. And I think a lot of the times we, often put ourselves in this box that should not be there. And I think a lot of the times when people often ask me, why do you think males break down? I think suicide is a very serious issue. And the only way we can really address it and really admit the problems, admit to what causes a person to go out there and snap. What causes a person to go out there and say, fuck it, I'm just going to end my life? Because suicide rate, to me, I hate to see suicide, whether it's male or female, is bad on both ends here. When I see men commit suicide, it really breaks my heart, because it seems like to me, it's like society don't care about us. They don't care about our rights. They don't care about nothing we're going through. And when I constantly see society downgrade men, talk about we're this, we're that, where we're useless, we just use resources, reproduction, and all we is, they want the child support, they want the alimony, they don't see us as human beings. A lot of men just off themselves because they feel like, well, one, why the fuck should I engage? Why the fuck should I engage with a society that don't gives a fuck about me? And I agree 100%. I think that men, it's fucked up that men nowadays, we don't get the help. We don't get the help that we need. We don't get the help. We do not get the help that we should get. And I think a lot of times we need to, is a race of men come together. That's why I try to tell people all the time, as a group of guys, we have to understand suicide is a very serious issue. And I left the link to the stream so you guys can join into the discussion anytime you want to join into it. But I think when we have this discussion, I want to have a really in-depth discussion about suicide, because to me, take it from a guy that's been there before, this topic is very sensitive to my heart, because I've been on the verge of suicide. And yeah, I'm gonna probably go more and delve more into it the longer I do the stream, but I'm gonna take my past experience with suicide. You guys don't know about me. I lost my dad. I'm just gonna say 2004. I'm not gonna say what they would not dox myself, but I lost my dad in 2004 for colon cancer. And I was never. Let me just say this. I was always a kid. I always had a ton of mental mind problems. I have dyslexia, learning disability, dyslexia, learning disability, speech impediment. I had a lot of mental issues coming up. Mind and mental issues coming up. So for me, I always had problems with the mind. But I think my dad died, which was back in 2004 for colon cancer. He just passed. I knew he was going to pass, but I still took it hard and whatever. Never really got a chance to go to my father's funeral, all the other things like that. And one thing I learned from my situation, from my past experience, I would not think me missing my dad's funeral played into my mental health, but it played a big part of, what you call it. It played a big part of my life. It played a big part of what you call it, my life. It played a big part of a lot of things in my life that I feel like went wrong, and it built up a lot of anger and frustrating, and just I had a grade point average of 1.6 my senior year of high school, my senior year in high school, and I said even comparing my high school experiences, I said my high school experience was a living hell. It was a toxic living hell, and I think a lot of the times we have an open dialogue that should be there. And sometimes for me, I talk about this, and even now that I mentioned this topic, suicide, I feel like nobody was not listening to me. Nobody was not trying to figure out why I was flipping out, why I was cussing out teachers, why I was throwing desks. Now that people just throwing desks and just mad, angry at the world, and just like, yeah. And then my 11th grade teacher passing me on, um, telling me she couldn't, no filters, we can't handle you, so I'm just gonna pass you on to 12th grade, which did more damage than good. So she did more bad than good. So, and I think, to me, I think back to and that's why I think a lot of anger, not just the anger to my 11th grade teacher who just passed me on, was who happened to be a female, which is kind of funny, which is not kind of funny, but is actually the truth. Just that I was treated like dirt. They didn't care about me. I was another victim. I was another number, and I fell victim to a school system that ruined my life. And if you guys don't know about me, I was put in special ed from the 4th to the 12th grade. So just imagine going to the 4th to 12th grade, having already mind mental issues as it is, and society not giving a fuck about you. They don't see you as a person. They see you as a number. They see you as what it is. And that tons of fucking mind problems. And then, not on top of that, you just adding my left grip head passing me on. I still haven't got on my dad's death yet. I still haven't slept in the fact that he was gone. And, you know, other built up anger stuff that I had, all these built up anger emotions that I truly had towards society nowadays. And that's why I talk about, I get very mad at society who want to talk shit about men, talking about we are part of the problem, and MGTOW with this and with that. And it's like, what they really don't realize is the fact that you created us. You created a society that make it so hard for men nowadays to be men. And a lot of men don't want to. I'm saying the reason why men don't want to engage. I'm not saying a lot of men don't want to engage. I don't blame them for not wanting to engaging, because here's the thing about society. Society has made it so hard for men to just be men. They have made it so hard for us to be what it is. And for me, I have always touched on this as a subject, and I think that for me, we really need to talk about it. Is that, for you mentals out there, you depressed, you want to kill yourself, you want to off yourself. I love the string to the chat. You guys can come and join the discussion, man. We can talk this out, because I no longer want to see no. I do not want to hear. I'm not. Don't want to hear. I don't. You know what I'm saying? For me, I don't want to see another man take his life, or take himself out, or commit suicide. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I deal with depression. I often contemplate suicide. I have suicidal thoughts from time to time, but that's a normal thing, especially for if you live with depression. Or you will know what I'm talking about. But like, my point has always been about, this topic right here. This topic is so important for men to realize that in order for us to get the help we need to get, in order for us not just get the help we need to get, in order for us to evolve as human beings or evolve as men, we got to get past it, admitting that you have a problem. I think that's the first step. I think that once you admit your problem, once you truly admit that things are breaking down, you can actually move forward with the process. Now, I think what I will say this though, I think the hardest part about being able to accept it is this: is being able to accept the fact that society is breaking down. And how do you deal with it when things are truly breaking down? How did you deal with that? How did you deal with not just how did not only how did you deal with that? How did you deal with the failures, the expectations of society, and how do you deal with the expectations they put on you as a man to go out there and provide for your wife and kid and girlfriend and fiance? It's your job. It's like, and it's the reason why I say I'm MGTOW. I'm so glad I'm MGTOW. It's because MGTOW gives me a purpose. It gives me a purpose to drive, focus on myself. So when things are breaking down, I know when to give into. You're hearing voices. You want to kill yourself. You want to argue. I always say this, and I said the worst thing ever, the craziest thing about suicide. They say the craziest thing about the worst thing about suicide is not just actually attempting to kill yourself, but the thought alone. The thought of suicide is just as dangerous as the act being committed. Because one, suicide is a very serious game. Your mind is very fucking important. Your mind, if you, it's like to me, this is my opinion on the mind. This is how the mind works. I think the mind is more important than I think the mind and body both is important, but with the body, you can lose the weight, you can eat properly, you can just cut out a lot of things. But with the mind, if you have a fucked up thought, you have negative thinking and negative thoughts, it's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect how you look at things. It's going to affect how you look at life. It's going to affect how you look at certain aspects of your life. So when things are truly breaking down, you got to understand, acknowledging that fact that you got a problem, acknowledging the fact that you're not perfect. I tell you, for me in general, now, I think one thing with suicide, it's an ego thing. Guys don't want to admit that they have a problem. And I think when we talk about suicide, what the reason why I want to talk about this, you know, um, we really have to, we really do have to understand that, for me, only thing I'm killing in these traps at the gym. Um, I think we really, what I'm saying, like when I'm, yeah, yeah, you got no filter. You got to check out Kindle Direct Publishing for your comment. I don't check that out. Pause on 1839. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. I think definitely we need to really just as men be well aware of it. You guys can, if you guys got stories in the chat about depression, have you ever contemplated suicide before, and how did you deal with it? How did you not, I'm not saying get over it, but how did you overcome that depression? How did you not want, what stopped you from basically wanting to kill yourself? What was your thoughts? How did you get to that point? Because to me, I want men, this is an open dialogue for you guys, like it's not just about me and my story, but it's about all men that's going through something. If you're going through something right now, um, I think definitely this is a great open dialogue to have. Very important dialogue to have. And I think I want you guys to really have an open dialogue. Honestly, Jim saved me. Yeah. I think I agree with that point, but I think pausing what I was trying to say with the stream is like, yes, I think that the gym saves you a lot of time. Yeah, the gym does save you because it kind of. I think definitely your physical, just like your mental, is very important. I was the person I joined the gym. Oh yeah, I think definitely the gym can help. I think. Now, if I'm not, I'm saying not you, but I'm saying, but if you go in, I mean, some guys go to gym to get girls, but if you a guy, you go in the gym to get girls, man, your mind will never be clear. But I agree 100%, Paul's. I think that Flism, that Paul's. I think that when if you find you're depressed, and if you go to the gym and you start working out, you start losing weight. Because I'm losing a couple. I lost like 5 pounds recently, and I'm losing weight. Walking. I'm buying a bike. Just sometime this week. Um, I think definitely this is a very serious topic to have. I think we really need to understand about on depression with suicide. But I think that there's, beyond besides recognizing the signs of when things are breaking down, I think that finding things to do when you feel suicidal, when you want to kill yourself, when you want to off yourself, when you want to do harm to yourself. I think that we all have to at one point We have to recognize the signs, find things to do. Well, luckily I write comic books, so I have hobbies and things I thoroughly enjoy. But I think when you're what I'm saying, when you're, you know what I'm saying, when you have a hobby, when you sincerely have a hobby, it changes. Walking helps me when I get depressed. I think definitely Renus, like I think Renus, I think definitely it does help. I think definitely walking, what's happening there? What's up, man?
Hello, how you doing? No filter.
Not too much, man. What's your thoughts on suicide? Because I want to get everybody else's thoughts. What's your thoughts on suicide? Like, why do you think men commit suicide, and what leads to it? So, I mean, this is good in a discussion I want to have with you guys.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I,
yeah,
I heard something about men 45 to 65 are killing themselves like men over 85. Same percentage.
yeah,
That's not good.
yeah. So, have you ever had like bad experience? Have you ever had like suicidal thoughts? Like you never wanted to carry out the act, but the thought alone just of like have you ever had something so bad in your life that happened? Whether it could be dealing with women, whether it could be dealing with society, whether it could just having you lost your job or your house or whatever. It could be anything, internal, external, that made you want to say, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna take my life."
Well, that's the thing about suicide. You can make anything a reason to kill yourself.
Yeah,
As a student of philosophy, suicide exists for everyone at every moment. It's a question that anyone can have at any time. And that's the problem, that sometimes it becomes too easy to
yeah,
answer this question. Yes, this is the event that's going to make me want to kill myself, or the next event is the event that's going to make me want to kill myself. The question is just so close to us.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, but overall, like, why did you like? I mean, because suicides are very, like you said before, anything can trigger. Like my dad died. I think I've been had mental problems, but my dad dying really added on to my depression. Like how I really not going to my father funeral added on to it. It built into anger and frustration. My like I said before earlier, before you joined, my 11th grade teacher passing me on, telling me like I can't deal with you. Just pass me on, and how she just did that to me, and I was really upset at that point because. And I told my mom about it. I was like, she just passed me on and she didn't care. Like she treated me like a goddamn number. Like I feel like I was a prisoner in a damn orange jumpsuit. Just like they didn't care about me as a human being and how from that point to me, and I think that's why looking back on my senior year right now, like I had a grade point average of a 1.6. I was not the brightest student in the bunch. I had a grade point average of 1.6, and I tell you flat out, dude, like I had so many mind problems going on back in the day, many outbursts and anger moments, and just being picked up and angry, mad at the world because like I realized that I realized they didn't care about me. I was just another number to them. So it was like they would just kick me out. And instead of them trying to figure the damn problem, like why is he having these outbursts? Why is he doing this? Like I remember telling one of the principals. I remember it was 2 weeks of school left my senior year, and I told the principal. I told one of the police officers, take me home, I'm gonna kill myself. And I didn't do it, but it was the thought alone having it. And I was like, and the officer was like, why you want to kill yourself? Like my fucking life is a living fucking hell right now. I got a grade point average of a 1.6 to school. This third time, they're like, man, I'm done with you. They officially kicked me out of school, and I was banned. I couldn't attend that. I couldn't be on campus anymore. They kicked me out for good, and I was banned from joining that school again. But my mom, I never forget it, dude. It really what added on to my depression, and what really hurt me was watching my mom be on that couch and I'm leaving my principal office, watching my mom cry like, fuck, man, like, damn, dude. And I knew something was off because I was having problems. Like, I was hearing voices back then when I was a teenager. Like, I was my senior year of high school, and I was being home a lot. I was hearing voices. I wanted to kill myself. And I've been had problems, but I did not get the help until I was 20 years old because I never heard a word. I always heard of mental illness. But the craziest part about it was I used to make fun of people who were suicidal, right? I used to make fun of, well, this was because we all have done young things when we was young to make fun of people that just, and it affecting us, and like, wow, that shit really affects you. But the thing is, when I heard people about mental illness and going crazy, oh, that person's just crazy, and then you end up going crazy, and then you be like, fuck, man, damn, I really did fucking. You don't know you don't know how bad a person got until you're put in that position, you know?
Well, that's right. It sounds like you had a really tough upbringing, and yeah, the stresses can build up. You got one stress, you got another stress, and And ultimately, at that point, I don't think you saw any future, right? You didn't see a future for yourself.
I didn't like, and I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't see a future. Like personally, I didn't.
No,
I didn't see
no,
it because it was my high school experience like a living hills. Like you think your senior year of high school supposed to be like the ball, you graduate, you about to go to college, girls and all that shit. My life, my prison, my senior was a living fucking hell for me, bro. I fucking hated that shit, bro. Like I hated school. I always hated school because my school systems. Because I say from the fourth, like I say from the fourth to the like fourth, like most of all my elementary school teachers all my elementary school teachers, they actually did a good job with me. They did, you know what I'm saying? They really cared about me as a student. Even though I was a special ed, they really cared about me. So I really did have a good upbringing. It just I had so many mind problems. I talked about on SFL stream this past week about growing up. Like I think one of my old streets called MGTOW Bros. MGTOW Bros. One of my passions just did this past week. And like overall, like last week, and like I was saying how I grew up, but basically growing up with mind mental problems and how I don't want kids and that stuff. But like for me, I felt like there was no future for me. Like to the point where like in my 11th grade teacher, I talk about what really did damage to me and it still affects me to this day. My 11th grade teacher telling me I can't deal with this. She just passed me on. Now I'm like, you do understand this is gonna do more damage to me than good, right? You just passing me on because and she didn't realize, and I didn't realize how damaging it would be, and it was damaging to me. And I'm like, well, fuck, damn, like, well, there's no hope. Like, damn, like she ain't even trying to help. She just like passed me on. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's
yeah, but
good.
then you got to remember the story of Thomas Edison.
Yeah,
He's at 10 years old. The teacher told him, Thomas, you're so stupid. You'll never amount to anything. And look what he
yeah,
did. He
yeah,
started General Electric. He invented the light bulb. He did great things. So we don't listen. We shouldn't listen to other people giving judgments about
yeah.
us in the
Yeah.
world.
I mean, but look, the thing is for me, and the reason why I took it so hard because I mean, I have more confidence now as an adult, but I always had low confidence as a kid. Like I was never confident as a person. And I agree. I take that learning experiences and apply it towards my comic when I write comic books. I take it as added motivation to prove to her, not just prove to myself, prove to everybody that doubted me to say, yo, I can do this. Even though I got my own personal problems, we all as mentals have our own personal problems that we can overcome anything from our mind to it. But I think a lot of times we have to understand is that past experiences will, if somebody just passes you on, and this I think it kind of led to my suicide as well. Like I was feeling I think it was like a science class, and I was feeling one of my I was a senior. I was a senior in my 12th in high school. And one of my teachers, I was getting an F in the class, and she was like, "Why?" She was like, like no filter." She's like, "Why are you feeling this class?" And it's just like I having a hard time comprehending this information. And then I remember one time it was something we did, and it was a very disheartening thing where we had like this team up thing, be like three guys and three, like it was like this history class, like World War I, whatever. And it was like, I think it was the team that get the most answers right get a prize, whatever. And the two guys were pretty smart. That two of the best brightest students in school, and I was actually on their team. And each member had to answer the question. So when teacher asked me a question, I'd be like, I don't know. And then my teammates get mad at me talking about calling me dumb and stupid. So I'm already, and it's like in the beginning of like, it was like the beginning of my senior, getting my senior year in high school. It was like a weekend, a brand new schools just started, and they put me in special ed classes after that point. But like, yeah, it literally did damage to me as a human being. I was never the same person I was before. Like even to the point I talk about how you shouldn't care. Yeah, it's true, like 100% true. But I think past life experiences will lead you to be suicidal. Like even to the point when I would get discouraged and I would get kicked out. And maybe that's why I talk about my dad had like this gold gun. Like it was actually like a gold gun, like from like James Bond movies, but it was like a gold gun. He had a couple bullets in there. My mom was at work. My sister was at school, whatever. She teaching in the hospital, same hospital I went to. And while going through all this, and this is the second, it's like the first time, it's like a attempted suicide. It was not like I couldn't go through it. I don't know what stopped me doing it. And basically it was on safety, and I put a bullet in the chamber, and I pulled it, and it got locked. And basically it was I didn't know how to work gun at the time. It was on safety, and I was like, well, thank God it was on safety, because if I would have pulled the trigger, who knows what would have happened. So for me, I have had suicide attempts before. I contemplated suicide so many times my senior year of high school because I feel like fuck it, life ain't get no better, so I might as well fucking end it there, you know?
Yeah, well, part of your, letting people tell you that you're not smart and that you're not doing well, that's bred into you from the very beginning.
Yeah,
You know, if you are told that you don't have to listen to other people, and then you make your own way at a very young age. So
yeah,
nobody knows all the information about World War I,
yeah.
and we just realized that we actually don't know anything about World War I because everything we're taught was really a lie.
Mm.
So it's better you didn't learn anything in school.
Yeah, and I think this topic is so important because I don't want. Here's the thing for me: I hate to see men commit suicide. Suicide, whether it's male or female, is fucked up on both sides of the spectrum. But I want to see men really get the help they need to get, and I really wish these organizations stop being so everything is pro female, but let's be anti male. So if a man says I want to kill myself, like I think what was it? I think it was a couple of months ago. I think a guy talked about he was calling his mom. He called his mother his or his the mother of his child, and he was telling her I'm feeling depressed. I'm going to kill myself, and she told him go ahead. He did it, and I hear that story. I'm like, but if this was a female, we'll be making a big issue about it. Like, oh, women are killing themselves in high numbers. Like, and that's the problem I have with America, like with this kind of society nowadays, where it's so much about women's issues and this and that. And I don't mind women issues being discussed, but like when you spend it, when all and everything is about rape culture, gender pay gap, which does not exist, and everything is about equality. Everything is about making women equal to men. And then women die of breast cancer. We make that a big issue, but men die of prostate cancer in high percentage of numbers. But we don't discuss these issues because we're men. But only if women bring it up, we need to address prostate. We need to address prostate because women are breaking it up. But when men bring it up, it's like, oh, y'all men just need to man up and get over it, deal with it, and just get your wife and kid and just be a utility, and that's it. And that's what this chap topic is about. Let God know, like I think expectations to me, I think what plays a big part of suicide is plays a big part of suicide expectations, ego. I think we all men don't want to get help, and I think sometimes. Well, I don't think men don't. That's not the fact. I don't think men don't want to get help. I think it's because society put it into their head that said that you're a man, you ain't supposed to admit you're in pain. So a man, I'm using this as a prime example. Like you got a guy, he was married to a wife for like 12 years, and they had a daughter together, and she gets the house, she gets the car. He has to pay off the credit card debt. He's here responsible, pay alimony, child support, whatever. He makes pretty good money, right? And he only get to see his daughter 4 times out of the month. Now, I don't know about y'all. There's this thing called parental alienation, where basically there's a certain amount of time that parent is away from that kid. It can be a year and a half, 2 years, and that kid starts that parent to the point where the parent don't even recognize the parent anymore. Well, the parent he recognizes the parent, but the kid don't listen to the parent because the parent's been gone so long, and that guy feels like, well, fuck it, shit. Like I'm just all my child don't care about me. The states don't give a fuck about me. I get locked up every time I'm doing child support. Maybe I get locked up. I might as well just kill myself. And you know what? Guess what
He
happened? He gonna
does.
kill himself.
Well,
Yeah,
that's it. Well, that's what's
yeah,
happening. And this is the
yeah.
problem is that this issue, these men are in these bad positions, and it's, thousands of them a year. And it's got to stop. These men have got to recognize that they're not alone in this situation,
And
and and other men are out there
yeah.
to listen to it and to let them vent and get it out.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not like for you guys out there, you're not alone, man. Like, look, I deal with depression all the time, bro. Like, I have up and down thoughts and voices like that. My mess again combat those voices, but like, dude, like you are not alone out there, and that's what I'm trying to say. That what the stream was about is like letting guys know, like the only way we really can get to these guys if we have an in-depth discussion about this topic. Here's the thing, society. Here's the thing. Whether the left, the right, the mainstream media, they ain't gonna discuss this shit. they ain't gonna discuss it. They're not gonna discuss it because it benefits. It talks about men's issues. And like I said before, this is why I think MGTOW, MGTOW, whether you want to whatever the ideology, is so important for men. That's why I think when men go their own way, you really get to recognize when you are suicidal, you can focus on you and figure out why you feel the way you feel. And I talk about this all the time. Like me, I have a lot of mind problems, bro. Me, I turned 29 this year in October. I told myself this. I said, look, dude, me having a girlfriend or me having a wife and kid, and even though I was babysitting my niece yesterday, and I enjoy watching my niece because she's very attached to me now. And I was saying that, even though I enjoy being an uncle, I love being an uncle. Like for me, I would not want a kid because to me, I have too many problems. Not mine. I had too many mind issues, and I couldn't imagine raising a kid and then for some reason my kid ended up hating me, or I'm not saying the kid don't end up hating me, but the kid ended up hating me or whatever, and it's like the kids turned against me, used the pawn. It's like, to me, I couldn't imagine having a kid in this climate nowadays because, and to me, I think that a lot of these young guys, a lot of these males nowadays, they feel like there is no hope in sight, and I think it's sad. It's a sad. Like I look at Robin Williams, right? A great entertainer, one of the greatest entertainers of the generations that came up, and he was a great entertainer. I mean, he gave us Miss Doubtfire, a lot of great movies. His career ended. I was reading his this is why I want this topic too. I was reading his recent. I was reading his final thoughts, and he talked about the alimony payments to his ex-wives. He was trying to make on the shitty movies he had to make, cancel sitcom, and it was like, fuck it, like. He said a quote that was so true. My deepest fear was dying alone. My deep. I forgot how he said the quote, but he was like, my deepest fear was dying alone. And I thought my deepest fear was dying alone, but my you know what I'm saying, being alone was not the problem. And I'm like, wow, that's a deep ass profound quote, for somebody to admit that. Like, damn, like what the fuck. And then to see the way he go out, the way he went out, like it's fucked up how he went out.
Yeah, it was. And, I didn't know about his alimony situation, but, the, this doesn't, discriminate as to income. The guy was, fairly rich, but he was getting, you know, you know, taken for a ride by the courts and by his ex-wives, and the guy's got other problems. Too much piles up on men sometimes. Too much piles up.
And that's what I'm trying to say with people who like when you see these articles comes out like these prego universities and all of these traditionalists, the left, whether it's the left, whether it's the right, the liberals, the conservatives, and you see so many articles of women right telling men to man up. I'm like, you do understand men are getting derailed by a fucked up foul system that just destroys men. Like it's of course it don't give a fuck. California, who knows who knows how many lives California have destroyed because of this gangster society where the women, all that matters is women get, I think after 10 years of marriage, she get lifetime alimony. And then
Yeah,
yeah, it's like, I'm saying, like, to me, these laws have to get changed, but that's never going to happen. But I
it's
think
not going to happen in our lifetime.
it's not going to happen in our lifetime. And I think what we don't realize is the fact that this general to me. I would think that to me, if society really cared about men, you need to understand. Don't you think reforming these laws make no sense? Because when I see so many men, this is why I talk about having a climate. When I talk about, I go back to my blue pill days when I was a blue pill guy, and I wanted a wife and kid. And I'm pretty sure we all at one time did when we was younger. But when I finally woke up, when I finally woke up and went mental, I was like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, dude, it's like, dude, if I had a wife and kid, who knows how my life would be right now? Because having a wife and kid and girlfriend and fiance in this climate nowadays, it's like, yo, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you because you're an ATM, utility, you're a resource, and with reproductive rights. That's it. They don't want you to be a father. They don't want you to be in the kid life. And like you said before, these issues are breaking down. Like when you look, when I heard about his alimony situation, like David Hasselhoff, I think all he has like 4,000 in the bank. I don't know. I was reading something, and he was talking about how he has to do shitty movies now because he has to pay alimony to his two former ex-wives. And I'm like, nobody's not asking the question like, why are these guys commit suicide? And I hate to see like celebrities. I hate to see men, period, no matter what type of status you are, take your life because you feel like it's like this is it's a no-win situation. It's like, okay, it's like, and that's why I try to say this to me, like, guys, like, to me, this is why I say I choose not to date. I choose not to date. It's my choice. Not no, it's not because I can't get no girl, which is some bullshit in itself. But like I choose not to engage because this what this shit entails. Every man's gonna go through this bullshit. And men think that because they got a girlfriend, it's their job to take care of this female. But 9 times out of 10, that when for me, it don't benefit you as a person.
Well, it sounds like David Hasselhoff and so many other men are in slavery. So they wake up one day and they say, "My God, I'm a slave. I don't
Yeah,
got my kids. I got to pay for this house. I don't have anything, and this is all I see for the next 10 years or the next 15 years or something like that." So they see their future and they don't like their future, and so they got to you know come to MGTOW and figure out how to change that future somehow,
yeah.
at least change the way that they feel about that future in the beginning, and then try to change that future somehow so they can get out of that slavery mentality.
I mean, but the thing is, like, I think because I was having a conversation with MGTOW Universe, which is a dope channel. How look at how does just you guys check his channel out? And he did a stream on like the dying of the male, the dying ego of the millennial man. And I think ego plays a big part of that shit too, because a lot of guys feel like, man, I got money, I got fame, I got accolades. It's my job to take care of this person. And it's like, to me, dude, it's like, let me be famous. I don't think it's my job to take care of a grown ass woman, man. And I think suicide, that expectations of, and here's the thing about people don't realize. I think to me, what plays a big suicide too is that you see so many guys, a guy get a girlfriend, and say for he dates a woman for like 6 years, whatever, and after 6 years they break up. I have heard so many of my male friends told me this because, like, I have a male friend of mine right now. Recently, he dated his girlfriend for like 10 years, and he told me this story. He was like, my girlfriend break up and bro and kill himself, and he would kill himself. And I said, don't joke around with that shit, bro. Like, I don't want to see you do that type of shit. He's like, man, I'm just joking. I'm like, no, man, like, no, bro. Like, when you say shit like that, like, I'm taking that shit very serious, bro. And like, if all you guys in the stream, whatever, if you have a friend and somebody tell you that type of shit, you better take that person seriously. Let me tell you something. The thing about suicide is not just the act being committed. The thought alone can cause somebody to go on the verge of it. And that's what I'm trying to say. Recognizing the signs. If somebody tells you that, male or female, understand that person. If a person said, I remember telling my mom, I'm gonna kill myself. And my mom was like, whatever. She just bounced it off at one time. And then when I went to the hospital, she was like, oh, you dead ass serious about it? I'm like, yeah. I told my mom I checked myself into the hospital because if I didn't do it that day, I was going to off myself. I was going to split my wrist. I was going to do what I need to do. And, people don't realize that suicide is a very serious topic. And we really talk about it. And that's why I talk about me. I'm more of because I've always been a fan of Buddhism. I'm always been a fan of monks and monasteries and just living on monasteries. Like, I've been a fan of the monk culture. Like, I love the monastery, the minimalist lifestyle you live and all that stuff like that. But to me, I talk about monks, how they don't need much. Money that they don't care about money is the last thing, and they just want to live their life to the fullest, and that's it. But to me, that's why I talk about. Look, I don't mind. I enjoy MGTOW Money Channel, but to me, this channel is about self improvement, and whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, mentally, whatever. I want this channel to be channel, an outlet for you guys to come on and say, you know what, I got a story, man, and I'm really contemplating suicide, man. I know, like, I want to tell you, man, it gets better. It may not
Well, you
seem like,
see,
yeah. Go ahead. Go
you
ahead.
raise the issue in those monks, a guy who's at the very edge of his life, under the stress, thinking about killing himself. He's always got the choice to go into a monastery. So why doesn't he do it? He
Yeah.
just goes in and gets rid of the stress. He gets out of the countries and goes to some other country and just says, screw everything. I'm just going in here and I'm going to get my head together for, however long. He's always got that choice. So my question is, why don't men do that? If that's what they got to do to stay alive, then do it.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, I think a lot of these people, like you said before, I think it's me, on reference point MGTOW Universe was saying, I think that he was saying that, marriage, let's be honest, marriage is a fucking fucked up a raw deal for men. It's bad for men. It's I don't see why you would engage in it. But like no matter how many men get thrown through the ringer, it's still gonna be guys lining up to get married because, like you said, they've been told from the time it was a baby to a kid to a preteen to a teenager to a young man to a grown ass man that yo, this is your job. Your job is not to focus on you, not to get your mental, not get your mental mind frame right, but to take care of a grown ass woman that can take care of her damn self and take care of kids that can either in the world loving you or hating you in the process. Or and that's my point. I'm saying to me, I agree 100% to me, and that's what I try to say for me. Like I see celebrities, I see young guys, you know, these celebrities off themselves like, yo, like you got enough money to travel to Thailand or, you know, Cambodia, go to places where a monastery. Like to me, like if I had millions of dollars and I'm having a mental breakdown and I'm having a wife or girlfriend and I'm like, I'm going to get up and travel to Cambodia, Thailand for Thailand for 2 months. Or
You don't need that much money. All you got to
no,
do is
no,
get on a plane and then you're there.
yeah,
And the stress is going to leave you. You're going to see something new that's going to clear your mind
yeah,
and get rid of that narrative that says that you have to be a slave to someone else to get your value.
yeah.
No.
And that's the point, and that's the thing about MGTOW. I think that's why people hate MGTOW, because people hate MGTOW because for me that's why I watch a lot of MGTOW monk channels, and I watch a lot of videos like MGTOW monk culture. I watch coaches right now. I listen to this podcast about Buddhism, and I think this Buddhist channel right now. He talks about Buddhist monks and separating several materialism, materialistic things. That's why I'm not materialistic. Like for me, like, I wear the same shoes each and every damn day. I wear the same shirt every day. Like I don't care about the finer things in life. Like I mean, it's cool to have those things, cool, but to me, it's like on my verge of suicide, the reason why I'm at peace with it, because I've always been attracted to that monk culture, and that's why I say it's something about that monk lifestyle. When I see monk, I see MGTOW, I see the monk lifestyle, I see the monk mindset goes into MGTOW. I think there's a lot of monks out there, they just don't know it yet, and it's just like, yo, I talk about how I prefer to be alone. Like for me, I choose not to have a girlfriend. That's just not me personally. I don't want it. That's just me. I choose not to engage. But like to me, like you said before, it don't even cost that much. I want to get up and visit a monastery one day. And like you can save enough money to go to Thailand or go whatever, and just like yo, you become enlightened, yo. Like I watched so many documentaries of Buddhism, and like one of the it was documentaries on becoming a monk, and he was saying that it was an American guy. He lives on a monastery. He been living there for monastery for 20 years, and he said he was a stockbroker for like the for the stock market. He was like a stock for like this for this which is what is it? It's the stock the brokerage firm, and he was like making real good money, you know, whatever. But he said he never felt fulfilled, and he just got up and went to a plane. He went to I think visited Thailand and Cambodia in Thailand, and he said he spent like a year, like a year, like 2 years down there, and he says from that point on he sold his house, sold his car, and he just got on a plane and lived in a monastery. And he says, I don't need money. I don't need a house. I can care less about, you know, society standards of just high tech and technology. I just want to live my life full. He's at peace with himself. It's like I feel more freer than ever. And like you said before, you know, I think that it's that freedom. I think that it's this what I talk about why it's, you know, for me, once you see suicide break down, guys, put yourself in a relationship will add on to it. Well, especially it's like I often say, you know what's the saying is that getting the girl is the easy part. Keep maintaining her happiness and buying her things, taking her shopping, and it and it's
Well,
constantly
that's the question. Why do men feel like they're responsible for women's happiness?
yeah,
Because if they can't make themselves happy, a man can never make them happy.
yeah,
So one of the things about Buddhism is that you recognize that the suffering that you're creating is you creating it. It doesn't exist without you wanting to make that suffering for yourself. And
yeah.
so just let it go. You don't have to do this. You can do something else.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, and that's the thing about these people don't realize. Like, I see so many men talk about it's my job to take care of a woman. No, the fuck it's not. It's your job to focus on you as a human being. And if your wife or your girlfriend or your fiance can't understand all that, yes, I still, my friend, believe you can be in a relationship and try your best to make that person happy. But you know what? It's your job to focus on you and you only. Because it can happen when you die, she ain't gonna die with you. You're gonna be in that coffin alone, and that's what these guys need to understand with suicide. I think that we understand is that you are not alone. there's a fellow man going the same things you are going through the same through. It's like never isolate from your friends. That's why I tell so many guys, when you enter a relationship, man, I don't know why you want to do it, but if you choose to enter that relationship, mental or not, if you choose to go back into a relationship and you got male friends or you got the mental community, don't shit on the mental community and say, "Oh, I got a girlfriend now, so fuck you assholes because I got a girlfriend now." And like, no, like, dude, like, we here for you, bro. Like, we are here to let you know, like, yo, all right, you back to your blue pill mindset. But dude, just understand, never isolate from your friends. I have seen it so many times because, like, my male friend, well, the female friends I do have, they got girlfriends and they try their girlfriends have done it so many times with their male friend that their girlfriends want to keep him to herself. She don't want him to be around other male friends. And I told one of my male friends this recently. I said, dude, your girlfriend, you've been dating this woman for 10 years. She's doing this shit. Like, bro, you do understand you gonna need me one day, right? He was like, I don't need you, bro. I'm like, dude, like, when that girl leave right now, I'm gonna be here. She ain't gonna be here. She gonna be doing all fucking some other scumbag. Like,
Well, that's good.
you know,
That's because these men are under, the social narrative that once they get in with this woman, they should let the woman run their lives. But that's the problem. They're thinking this, but they should never let anyone else run your life. If it's a man, if it's a woman, whatever, the man's
yeah,
got to understand what he's got to do and just do it and not let anyone else turn him from that path.
yeah. I mean, and that's the point I'm trying to get people to realize. Like, we have to understand that we don't people fuck around with suicide and they joke about it. Like, when somebody say, "I won't kill myself," and I'm just joking. No, dude, you dead ass serious about this shit, and it's a cry for help. And that's the thing for me is that when somebody tell me that, I take you dead serious, bro, because you say the thought alone of suicide can cause you to commit to act. It's not alone, not just thinking it. It's just not just the act alone. Say, I want to do it. No, you're
Yeah,
thinking of
yeah.
it.
Mention, if you say it, it becomes an opportunity for you, an opening that you can walk through. So don't
Yeah,
say I'm going to commit suicide. Say I'm going to fly out of the country and join a monastery.
yeah,
So
like,
just
yeah,
switch the thought, just switch the words, and the thought will follow those words that you use.
you're like,
So
yeah,
it's best not to use that word at all.
yeah,
It's best to use other words, other opportunities. Open
yeah.
yourself for other things, and then you can move into those things.
Yeah. So it's it's like premeditated murder. It's like premeditated murder. Like, like, it's like premeditated, like, it's like you're contemplating the murder. Like, yeah, you got everything set in place. You got the gun. Whatever weapon the person chooses to use to kill that person. It's like it's like premeditated murder. Like, so, like, just like the word suicide, like premeditated murder. Just because you don't kill that person, you're thinking about killing that person. It's just as dangerous as anything else. So the question is, you gotta be, well, like you said before, you gotta be careful of the words you say. What you speak to existence. I'm a firm believer. What you speak to existence will come true. So if you
That's
say,
right.
yeah. So
And
if you
so
say, go ahead.
I was just thinking in movies, you see people committing suicide. Maybe this is programming. Maybe they're putting the words into the heads of men. They're putting men in the situation where they would want to, and they already have the words because the words are programmed in, and the men, have this opening and they go for it. So if you stop watching movies about this, using this word, and if you stop reading about it and you stop saying it, it suddenly stops being an option.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the worst thing to me, because I tend to do a lot of times by isolate to protect myself from, like, bad people, but isolating yourself from your friends and family is a bad thing.
It's a bad thing. Yeah,
It's very bad. I think that, to me, I do it, but I do it because I do it to protect myself, so people don't come around me spreading and negative bullshit around me, because I'm trying to think positive all the time. But it's hard not to think. It's hard to think positive. Society kind of shitting on you as a man. But the thing is, like, I always tell people, like, isolating. If you have a girlfriend and you isolate yourself from your friends, dude, you understand you are doing more damage to you than anything. You are doing a lot damage. You are doing so much damage to you as a person, because what you don't realize, what you're really doing is you isolate the people that are, like, here's the thing. It's like a prime example. Like, I recently met one of my male friends. He's 21 years old, and he's a young whippersnapper, young guy myself. Just think I like learn. I'm older than him, and I'm 28. I'm 20. I'm 8 years older than him. So me and him was talking, and he got a girlfriend. He introduces his girlfriend to him and his male friend, other male friends, and his girlfriend. She me and her. I met his girlfriend, and I was like, whatever, trying to get get her, like, get what she's about, what's her personality is like, and she just fucking. She shrugged me off. I'm like, I kind of see something about her, and she was telling me she pulls me to the side. She's like, I don't want you hanging around them. And she's like, "What the fuck you talking about? You like one of those types. You like one of those types that just you don't yeah. What is it? I mean, you look like one of those type of guys who they gonna try to put some evil shit in his head." I'm like, "What the? Where you get that from?" Like I can look at you right now and tell me, you know what I'm saying? And she told him flat out in public. She told him flat out, "Look, I don't want you hanging around him." He was like, "Why?" And she was like, and I was like, cause I was trying to hang out with him last week, whatever, and he was like, me and my girlfriend, I got me the girlfriends. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like we go bowling every Friday. He's like, well, we can't go bowling because my girlfriend so and so. I'm like, dude. He's like, let me guess what she said. She's like, man, I don't. He says, and be honest with you, man, I think I'm cut all ties with you, man, because my girlfriend told me so. I'm like, dude.
Jesus.
I'm
I
like,
think
dude.
you got to have an intervention or something. Go in and tell this guy that,
Dude. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
that this guy's got to, take control because, she does this naturally. She does this as a protection.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, dude, you gotta understand, dude. When that girl, I'm not saying that when the girl leaves, if she decides to leave, when that girl leaves, the people you alienate from, because he's isolating from his other male friends. She's like, I don't want you hanging around them either. So he just got her around her. I was like, you around her 24/7, man. I told him this flat out. I said, we cut all ties with me. I said, dude, yeah, I know you cut all ties with me, dude, but when you come to your senses, let me know. I'm not gonna give up on you, man, because I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you calling me saying you want to take your life because your girlfriend left you. I'm like, dude, this tend to happen a lot of men, and I understand like it, and that's what I'm talking about with suicide. That I see it so many times with guys. I see it so many times with every guy get a girlfriend, not MGTOWs, but I see them blue pill guys. They get married, not guys get married. They get fiancés. I'm in love with this girl. She's my soulmate. She's so and so and everything. And then that girl takes over every aspect of his life. She the only person. She wants to be the only person in his life. She trying to separate him from his mom, his sister, his brother, his aunts, his uncles.
That's right. That's what they do.
And
That's their programming.
it's natural for them to do that. And I said, dude, you got to understand, dude, she's marking her territory. And if you don't put your foot down right now, guess what happened, dude? You're going to be all alone. And you don't realize the very same friend you isolated from were the very same ones you depend on. Yeah, some male friends are cucks, and some dudes are just going to be assholes and try to fuck your chick once you break up with them. Fuck them dudes. But I'm talking about the dude that genuinely care about you. Like I genuinely care about. He's 21 years old. I said, dude, you got a bright future ahead of you, man. And this girl right here, she's setting you up for big failure right now, dude. Like, don't do this type of shit, bro. Don't isolate yourself from nobody, because who knows? You never know. It's like it's. I talk about so many times. I'm a firm believer, like, what happens to people is like when you see women do that shit all the time to guys, but when the guy tell them, oh, you can't hang around your female friends, oh, that's controlling. Don't you think you controlling the guy, telling him, saying, oh, he can't hang around him so and so because you giving him some ass? What the fuck is that type of shit?
Yeah, it's just controlling, and that's the that's the gynocentrism. They want to control the men because they want to control access to the resources, and
Yeah,
so the guy obviously needs to understand a bit more about female nature, so that he can
yeah.
protect himself against these types of moves.
Yeah, and I think, and what he don't, and I said with those guys, what he don't really realize is that with these guys, and not just him, but what guys don't really realize what suicide is. Suicide is a very serious fucking topic, especially for fucking men. It is that never isolate yourself from anybody, especially your male friends that trying to look out for you. They trying to be there for you. Like when I talked about earlier in the stream about how the dude was talking about I think a couple of months ago, 2 months ago, or a month ago, the dude was talking about killing himself, and he wanted to kill himself, and he was saying some what the fuck he wanted. He wanted to kill himself. He calls baby mom. He called his mother. Calls baby mom. And the mom can like, I can't, I have no advice on this shit. And the baby mom was like, go ahead and do it. And he offed himself. And that shit broke my fucking heart hearing that story. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, she just told him to do that shit, and she basically didn't even try to, like, it's gonna get better, and none of that bullshit, man. It's some crazy shit, man.
Well, maybe the mother was in this controlling thing too, and she didn't want to have anything to do with somebody she couldn't control. If he wanted to kill himself, why not do it? Because I can't control you. Then there was that news story about that young guy, 19 years old, was on the phone with his girlfriend. She said she was trying to convince him, and he did right on the phone with her. Anyway, she went to court and she's going to get something, but
Yeah.
this is the controlling thing.
What's your thoughts on suicide? Do you think how do you think men can deal with suicide better?
Well, talking to me?
Ma.
Oh, MA's on.
Gentlemen.
What a MA?
How do we deal with suicide, huh? I think it's one of these weird things, just like we have to figure out if we want to help men, that's one question. To help ourselves, I think that's a separate question. And you need to do the latter before the former, because if you don't understand how to keep your own self from, utter depression and or suicide, then you certainly won't be able to aid another man from that path, right?
Yeah.
So that's worth looking at. I don't trust the modern Western mental health medical system. I don't
Neither
think
do I.
It mitigates or prevents any of it. I think it actually aids in a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think all the psychotropic drugs are making shit worse too. I think a big thing, one of the rise in suicide, especially with men, look at the correlation between diagnosed with shit, like the hardcore things at least, than women. So that they're often more prescribed, right? Because any male behavior will be considered ADD, ADHD, all kind of, shit. So like from 8, 9 years old, they're prescribed drugs.
Yeah.
And then at around 18, 19, 20, when life hits in all the ways that it tends to do, boys that are killing themselves. And I think there's a correlation there. I won't go as far to say there's causation, but there's definitely a correlation. I think the drugs are making it worse. I think the failed mental health field system's making it worse. So
yeah, it's failed. There's too many SSRIs going around in America. I can't believe it. I'm in the country I'm in. We don't have anyone like that, really. There's very few people on SSRIs in the country I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's zombie pills, man. There's zombie pills, and
there's zombie pills.
Zombie pills don't help when a real crisis happens in your life. And I feel when all you do is drug your children and you never give them tools or coping mechanisms, what are they going to do when their back's up against the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to
throw in absent fathers on top of that. Like throw in an absent father. So throw in, you go to your mom, I want to kill myself. Oh, baby, don't. Is the best you might get. A father, in my opinion, or at least a good father, will be imaginative. He will take you out the fuck of the situation, out of the house, take you somewhere and sit you down and be like, all right, we need to talk.
Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on? What's the problem? Can it be solved? If we can't solve it, how do we cope? That's how a man or father will deal with his child in this case. His protective mode and his logic hopefully will come together and find his child's problem in which could be solved. And if it's something that can't be solved, then that's when, we learn how to cope. And it helps to have a father to teach you the tools of how to cope with shit in life.
What? I mean, like
fair, a silly dad might make a joke. I think a good dad will be like, "You're absolutely right. I'm glad that you see that life isn't fair."
Yeah, sometimes a joke can clear the air. It can just break it.
And you build on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in your head.
And
you start thinking about
I think
this.
A good father, he builds on that first red pill the child gets for themselves. Sorry, I'm on my phone. I'm likely to cut out, and the battery's low too. So
I mean, and you brought up a good point, Ma. I think that I noticed that. To me, I do notice it because I even noticed it back in the day when I was like in elementary school. Like I would see kids with ADHD, and they put them on this fucking medicine. They put on this high prescription medicine, and they be cool, calm as fuck, but they just have the outbursts and shit like that, and then they have ton of mind problems when they get older. Because I noticed, I tell you flat out, being a special ed, coming from my experience in special ed, but luckily they didn't drug me up with fucking medicine. They didn't do it. But even like, there's a time where when I was in special ed, the fourth grade, to put me in there, even though I had teachers that cared, like I noticed, like when I was in special ed, they just did a lot of things, and I saw a lot of kids in special ed when I was in it, and they would just give them medicine, drug them up, and it would just like give them misdiagnosis, saying, "Oh, this kid can't learn in this setting, and environment." So it's like you have to be well aware of the type of stuff, and I think this is what I talk about is all the time. People, when you have kids, especially if you have a son, people, and you put them in public school, be on top of that kid all the time. If that kid have a hard time learning, try to figure out why that kid's having a hard time learning. Don't let the school diagnose your son and say, "Oh, your son has ADHD," and you give him the medicine, and your son.
No way. Don't do it. Don't put the kids on drugs.
Don't do it. No,
don't
because
do it.
a lot of people don't realize that there's a side effect to the drug. Yeah, it may help the kid concentrate a lot better. But in reality, like I noticed that shit now. I noticed that now because the older I get, I'm pretty sure a lot of us MGTOWs get older, so we are able to look at things much different. But like no, when I see a kid, you see an 8-year-old kid right now, like my elementary school. I know a young kid I know personally, now 8 or 9 years old. He had ADHD, and his mother went along with the school system because he has a hard time learning, concentrating. So they gave him his medicine, and he was concentrating, doing pretty good, but he would just start having outbursts and all this other crazy shit, and they misdiagnosed him saying it was ADHD, and now he hooked on his damn medicine, and that he has to have it in the system, or shit start going fucking crazy, and like tons of mind problems.
See, that's also another misconception, and this is one of the biggest, and I think it's a deadly fallacy. So once you are on drugs, which many Americans, especially young Americans, are on, and if you go to your doctor and you're like, you know what, I want to get off this stuff, I want to try something else, the doctor is basically trained to be like, well, that, you know what, why don't we just take you down a notch, or maybe wean you off this and we'll try something else. They want you on something, and that should be that should be a clear sign something's up. Well, why is that? Like the variety of when it comes to mental health, we used to have especially in the West, man, it was great. For a good 20 years, I think, we had all these different therapies emerging. Some were better than others. Over by the pharmaceutical companies. It's all about drugs now. It's all about psychiatry rather than psychology. But here's the thing.
In my own get kickbacks.
Yes, they absolutely get kickbacks. And I've known nurse practitioners, nurses, and doctors who said that, you know what, they literally will send representatives out, take you out for dinner, take you bowling, like really innocuous activities and shit, and try to soften you up so that you peddle their bullshit. So
yeah,
so that's not a conspiracy. That's just the way business is done when it comes to the pharmaceutical companies. So.
Yeah, no, they admit it and they talk about it, and we got to stop it because this is an attack on boys, and boys turn into men, and there's men walking around that they're not really who they are.
And that's what I'm trying to say to me, and that's what I try to tell people all the time. Like, I know MA has kids, so he can probably give you more of an in-depth discussion on it. And that's what I'm trying to have a kid. Having a boy, having kids, this climate nowadays is so fucking dangerous because these schools try to drug these young kids up, especially these young boys, full of fucking drugs, and they rely on the shit. Like I remember when thank God mom did the research on it. When at the time I was in the hospital, I got out the mental hospital. I spent like a week in the hospital mental ward. Got out, and the medicine they subscribed me, it was some I forgot the name of it. It was very addictive. And then one of the mom did the research on it. She surfed the web. She was like, hell no, you ain't taking it. And they were like, taking it. And they said it's one of those things where if I took it, it would have been one of those things, a lifetime thing where I would have needed it. And if I would have needed it, and I would not been the got no filter you have now, I would not same guy. So I have to, wear that from that point. And even though I take psych meds to kind of balance my shit out, I do notice that shit when it's in my system. Like the longest I ever went was 2 months. And man, I tell you flat out, but if I don't have a medicine in me, I'm like a doing fucking vegetable. Like I'm not dumb retarded, but like I am drained. Voices come back just like drained for the energy, sluggish as fuck. Like, and that's what I'm talking about. Like that's what I'm trying to say to me when I was mentioning my stream with Miss MGTOW, bro. Last week stream we did, I was mentioning saying, you know what, my thing is that's why I would not want to have kids because I know me, I know better know myself, and I think that when you talk about this suicide, whatever, you got to understand that today's climate is very dangerous. And I noticed it, I even noticed it myself. Well, luckily my medicine does the job for me. But like I noticed that MA too when I see a lot of my friends go to doctors and they're like, well, I want to get off my medicine. Well, we can take it down dosage. No, I mean I'm like, wow, that is amazing. That is kind of it's like they know this medicine don't benefit them, but they still trying to feed you with it anyway.
Yeah, get off the drugs. That's it.
Yeah.
Just get off the drugs if you can.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about these boys when you raise a boy in this climate. Like nowadays, masculine, not just masculinity, but nowadays, like they want boys to be temperate, mannered, controlled, and just show no emotions, no anger and emotions. They want men to be feminine, and
That's right.
that's what I'm talking about that. And that point, going back to my point with suicide, is that it's men in America. It's so important to not isolate from the people. If you have friends, you got male friends that really want to be in your life and they want to help you get where you want to be. I'm talking about like emotional support, not emotional support, but they there for you and they say, call me anytime. If you're going through some shit, keep those guys around. Don't let your girlfriend, your wife, your fiance, or don't let nobody in your life tell you, man, you got a girlfriend now, so fuck the rest of your friends. Like, no, keep those guys around because when she gone, those very same friends you isolated from is the same friends ones you're gonna be calling when things are breaking down. And that's why I said, like when you were saying, man, what about the 19-year-old or you whatever, and you were talking about the 19-year-old calling his baby mom and he just killed himself. And it's like that's fucked up. The 19-year-old, a 19-year-old guy, I mean, guy ain't even 21 yet, off himself. You know what I'm saying? And we don't understand the premise of what suicide. It is very dangerous, man. It's a very dangerous path you go down when you choose to
It's
make.
only even recognized as a national crisis, not because there's a lot of little girls or teenage girls doing it, but because they've attempted.
Yeah.
So it's not because of the rise in actual success when it comes to boys. It's been because there's been more attempt with girls.
Yeah, and they don't
Which
succeed.
once
They're
again
just
goes to
looking for
show
attention.
you. Yeah, I mean, and that is, I mean, what else is a more clear example of gynocentrism when nothing becomes a crisis until it affects girls, and only marginally, because they're doing as women usually do, girls usually do. The reason why there's always been that, disparage between the numbers is because, women just usually don't commit and go through it, which is not a good or bad thing in and of itself. I'm not commenting that they should. I'm not saying that they should be killing themselves. What I'm saying is that it's usually a cry for attention merely. But when
Yeah.
boys do it, they get to such a level of misery that they think it's the only way to problem solve. Our core tenets, we solve problems. And if we think we are the problem, we're going to solve that problem by getting rid of ourselves.
Ooh, that's bad. Yeah. When men see themselves as the problem, then they see the end of themselves as the solution.
Exactly.
And that's the point I'm trying, and that's the purpose of the discussion is that I want to have a really in-depth discussion on it because I don't want to see no MGTOW take his life because to me I've been on the verge of suicide. I had a knife to my wrist, I almost cut it. So I've been on the verge of suicide before. I know that fucking feeling when you feel like the world is against you or you feel like shit ain't getting no better and you like fuck this shit. I'm just gonna check in my life and just end it all. But here's the thing. One thing I sit and learned about me recovering, not just me recovering from, but me dealing with depression, is that depression, man, people, it's important to have hobbies. I think to combat suicide, I think that you have to have a hobby. Find a productive hobby, not getting in drugs and then dealing with females and try to have sex with them. Like I ain't talking about that type of hobby. I'm talking about something you thoroughly enjoy. It could be fishing, it could be going to the gym, it could be boxing, it could be riding a bike, through your neighborhood, whatever. It's like, cutting the grass, cleaning the gutters, whatever you do good. I think that's another way to combat suicide. I think suicide, I think suicide only gets worse if you feel like you have no hobbies, you have no interests. And you know what's really worse? And I think, MA, you guys are gonna agree with this point. If you have a girlfriend and you feel suicidal, that's even
Holy
worse.
cow. Oh, that's
That's
the worst.
I have heard stories. I won't say my person guys I know personally. I have heard stories of guys that get girlfriends and just like for them it's like they're not happy, and for some reason they just off themselves, like, and they had girlfriends, like, and you would think this woman's supposed to be his emotional support, and she didn't give a flying fuck at all. So it's like this the point I'm talking about with letting people know, like, you got to understand about, you know, open your life. Is that this one talking about getting a girlfriend? Even with women, is not a guarantee, because let's be honest here. Most women do not give a fuck about your issues. They don't give a fuck about you as men. They don't. They don't care about your issues. They only get you there. It's like I talk about. There was I was listening to the radio station the other day. This is some true
Hey,
shit.
no further. Here's the thing. My phone's probably gonna die, and I just don't want to just drop off and you guys not know. Hey, I would strongly advise if you get anybody else in. We saw a messenger creeping in the chat room, and he's made some excellent videos on this topic. Maybe he's willing to
I
come
bet he
in
has.
and yeah. So if
Yeah,
you
he
can
should.
get him in, that'd be great. But I just want to let you guys know I'm gonna drop off in any moment here. So
Okay. Let me add Mr. Horizon to the thing. I want some invite. I sent an invite.
Yeah, I may
don't add
drop at
anybody
any
else, though.
time because I'm half a world away.
Yeah. Yeah, don't add anybody else though. He's very particular on who he does a live cast with. He doesn't like the knuckleheads. He doesn't like the drama. If it's just you two, he might come in. Otherwise, he'll just troll you in the chat. So there you go.
Yeah.
But like go to the point I was saying. I feel like we really as men, like, you guys gotta understand, man. Having a girlfriend does not make you know suicide much easier. It make this shit much harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, well, if a man thinks he's failing with a woman, he may want to kill himself because he's in a social narrative which says that he should make a woman happy, and if he can't, he might blame himself.
I mean, and that's the crazy part. That's true. The crazy part about it, like, for me, and that's the thing about me, which is why I choose not to engage with the opposite sex and not date at all, because to me, I can't have it. And that's what I'm trying to say with the conversations I have. Like, when I have conversations with my female cousin, it's always asking me, "Oh, no filter, when you gonna get a girlfriend?" And I just want to tell them, like, man, I got too many things going on in my life to just had to add a woman into my life to it. Kind of makes it complex to me. It kind of makes it even harder, because to me, I have my own problems to deal with. And if I'm having a mental breakdown, I can't focus on me and focus on her at the same time. I can't have it both ways. And I think sometimes I see it in men nowadays. I'm just seeing it in men. I just say in men nowadays, men try to. It's like you said on MA, like last week on MGTOW bro, on it's MGTOW bro stream. You said that men, you try, like, feminists told women they can have it both ways. They can work and be a mother at the same time. And as a man, when you're in a relationship with a woman, you can't have it both ways. You can't be focused on yourself and then try to please her at the same time. You gotta pick one to choose. It's like you got a choice to make here. Do you, if you having suicidal thoughts, to take time off for that relationship and say, you know what, I didn't get my mind right, and just end things with her, or take a break from the relationship? Or do you continue to date this woman while still having a breakdown? Like, that's the point I'm trying to say, is that don't ever get caught up in that situation, because if you do, that's gonna be one tough situation to get out of.
Well, yeah, because the woman's probably causing the breakdown in the first place. So the longer you stay in that situation, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the point, and that's the point I'm trying to get people to realize with this topic. I want guys to understand this issue. This topic is so important, not just for mental related, but just men in general. Know your mental health. Always be on top of your mental mind frame. Be careful what you think. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you bring into existence. Because here's the thing: some guys, I know there's some guys out there. I think it's sad these days. The TFL guys think like this. The True Folks Lonely guys out there think like this. That they feel like they feel so lonely because they ain't got a woman in their life. They feel so sad and depressed. I think a couple years back, I think it was a dude. I think it was not even MGTOW related. It was a black dude. I think he had a crush on this the female YouTuber. He killed her. And I think he killed himself years back, whatever. I think it was YouTube. I can't watch it because they probably took it down. But I forgot who it was. It was a black dude, black YouTuber. He off himself because he liked this female YouTuber. She didn't like him back, so he just killed her and he killed himself. Like I hate to hear those stories, man, because it breaks my heart saying like, fam, like as men, we just break down like this, and we sit there, and society's constantly telling us about getting a girlfriend, and this what it is to be a man, and what they don't end up doing
Well,
is
you can't live by anyone else's expectations. You got to
yeah,
find your own expectations and make your own goals. And so if you're feeling bad about the situation, don't even use the word depressed. Just avoid that word and put the problem into a word. I'm having a problem about this, or I'm having a problem about that. And once you name the problem, then you can begin to solve it. If you don't have a name for the problem, you can't even begin to solve it. So the first step is to put a name to the problem, and just don't say I'm depressed, because that's just going to make you more depressed, and you're going to think more about that word. And if you say that word enough times and it gets in your head, you can't get it out of your head. So don't say the word. Put a name to the problem, then think about how to solve the problem, and talk to men about solving the problem, and that can get you out.
I'll ask you guys a question before you guys go, because I don't know how long you guys won't be on the stream. But I'll ask you guys a question. Do you think that do you think that ego plays a big part of why guys don't want to admit they're depressed?
Ego?
Yeah, do you like I'm
Oh
saying
yeah.
ego in the I think ego for men is not it's a good and bad thing at the same time. I don't know what I mean by specifically ego. It's like a prime example, right? It's like studies have shown men. It's like I'm using this as a prime example about ego in a bad way, right? It's like men don't want to go to doctor, right? Because men are scared to go to doctor, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I use my dad as a prime example. My dad was never one of those type. I'm never going to doctor. My mom had to convince my dad a lot of the times to go to doctor because he was just like, I don't want to go to doctor. He always had that point, but he would go only if he felt like it. But yeah, and what I was saying that, do you think with because men were taught at a very young age not to admit that we're in pain, or do you think because we're told to man up, like society, which I fucking hate that word when society, especially when bitches use that shit, like because we're told to man up and we need to be man and get wife and kid and all this other crazy shit. Y'all need to stop complaining about the laws and just deal with the shit for what it is. Do you think because we have egos about it and society told us oh, this is what a real man is supposed to be. This is what you need to man up. Those two fucking words I fucking hate.
I don't think it's ego. I think it's silence. Men are told to be silent about things. And
Yeah.
that's what's great about MGTOW is you don't have to be silent. If you're angry, you come on and you say it, and no one's going to shame you. So if you're feeling bad, you can come on, you can talk about it. No one's going to shame you. So it's not just ego; it's the silence of it, and we got to break this cycle of silence among men. Yeah.
You have to. I think definitely you have to break that cycle, because if you don't break it, I always talk about this all the time. If you a man, you in pain, admit it. You know what I'm saying? Even if you admit it to yourself, like admit it. And like I agree 100% with MA. I think that the mental health is viewed nowadays, especially with most of the therapists and being females. I agree 100% that the system's kind of, it's hard to go to a female therapist and she'll sympathize, like, oh, I sympathize with you a little bit, whatever.
Yeah.
But I
No,
think,
get away from them. Get
yeah,
away from them. Come on to MGTOW. You're anonymous. Let it out. Just
yeah,
let it out what's happening.
that's the
Nobody
point.
knows who you are. Come on and let it out.
And that's the point I'm trying to say, is that we need to have an open dialogue and open discussion about suicide, because to me, I don't like it. I think suicide for both genders is fucked up, but I hate to see men just get silenced because we go through things, and the only time we really give a fuck about it is when women go through some shit. But when men commit suicide in high numbers and high rates, I mean, when I heard when that 19-year-old called his baby mother, called his baby mother, and she told him to commit suicide. And like she didn't even sympathize with him, like, man, maybe you shouldn't do it. You know, there's more, you can live life. You know, there's more life and more there's more life to live. She's like, just go ahead and do it. He ended his life. And it's like, it's people, you know, this is the reason why I say that. To me, women nowadays is toxic. And I don't hate women, because people think, oh, you hate women. Like, no, bro, like I was babysitting my niece yesterday, so I don't want to hear that shit about if I hate women. I'm just saying, to me, bro, like, we gotta understand as men, if we don't give a fuck about our issues, nobody else will. And I think we really
That's
got to.
right.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Oh yeah, yeah. But I'm saying, like, all I'm saying is, like, we need to speak on these issues because we don't speak on it. That's why I love MGTOW, because MGTOW is we keep that middle discussion going. We don't have somebody else in our ear telling us, oh, this is not. Oh, you need to speak on this issue. You need to speak on that issue. No, we need to discuss these issues. And suicide is a very very serious issue. Like, I was watching I think the show. I was this. It's a sad act. He died a terrible way. He tried to do it to Lee Thompson Young. He played Jet Jackson on the Disney Channel, which is he was a very good actor too. I remember last show I saw. I think he was in Smallville. He played Cyborg. I think he was a very dope actor. And he talked about at the end of his career, he was suicidal, how he had all the money and the fame, but nobody cared about him because he just all they cared about his fame, his riches. Because he was famous, he just killed himself. He wrote suicidal and killed himself. And just watch how he killed himself. It's sad to hear these stories. Like, it's not even about him being a celebrity. It's about he's a human being just like everybody else, and so was Robin Williams. And when you hear these stories about these people that was in the limelight, or these people, like, you hear people that was the real geniuses in the world, or these men that just want to be great fathers, and society don't give a fuck about them and say, you know what, fuck, fuck you. I don't give a fuck about you. And it's sad to see that shit, man.
Well, that's going to happen because that's what they want to do. They want to have men disposable. They don't want to have men survive. So they're going to set it up so that, men are going to want to kill themselves. And make it better for the men who live or something. I don't know what their plan is,
I mean,
but they're making it hard enough for men to live. So,
and that's that point to me, and that's what I'm saying. To me, is that it's gonna reach a point, and I'm pretty sure it's not haven't got to that point yet. It's gonna reach a point where men is gonna get frustrated with this point. Because I mean, MGTOW, we already walked away from it, so we know the system is rigged against us. But I think these guys don't realize, and one thing I notice when I see guys commit suicide, or when you hear Robin Williams, I remember when Robin Williams committed suicide, it was talking about his life is, oh, how great of actor he was, but they never really went. The media, which they're never gonna do it because it's kind of a pro female, anti male, is that they never went into the reasons why he would commit suicide. It was like, oh, he had to cancel sitcom, but they never went into the life of him having alimony payment to his ex-wives he was still making, that he could not afford, that he had to keep making shitty ass movies just to keep these payments going. And I feel like this the reason why I say call me insensitive to a subject. I don't give a fuck about equality. I think it's a joke, and I think it's been a joke. I think it's these women nowadays don't understand is that these women want equality. They want this bullshit going on. What they end up fucking really doing is they create a narrative that shouldn't be there. So when you see a guy commit suicide, they be like, oh, that man just committed suicide. He was happy. No, he committed suicide because he could not afford alimony payments that's utter ridiculous that need to get reformed. But like you said before, it's never going to happen. No, I'm pretty sure even when I'm dead, even when it's my time to go, I'm pretty sure it's never going to happen because everything is pro female. But here's the thing about suicide. The reason I'm bringing this topic up is that, men, we got to be aware. We got to love ourselves, man. You are a star player. You got to focus on you at all times, even if you got a significant other, man. Because you know why? Cause deep down inside, when you time to go, when you 10 feet under the ground, man, she ain't go with you. She can move on with her life. You're gonna be 10 feet under the ground. And I don't want to see you. I don't want to ever hear. I don't want to ever see a guy hearing stories like this guy had no way out. So he just ended his life because he felt like there was no hope in sight. And I find that sad that men nowadays, even celebrity men, you would think celebrity guys would get some type of fucking coverage and say, well, what drove this person to do it? It was like, well, he had a cancer sick contemplated, but no, there was more to the story. You just don't want to dig into it because you know that will be talking about some shit that's actually some real shit though.
Yeah, that's right. They want to cover the truth.
Yeah.
Whatever the truth is, they're going to cover it.
That's why, like, that's why I say that, like, that's why I fucking hate, like, these. I'm not a fan of celebrity culture because when I see a celebrity guy, when we look at LeBron James, these athletes, these guys are not, they entertainers, yeah. These guys, deep down the side, like, these guys are regular guys just like us. They just happen to have means and resources and live a lifestyle that most of us, I'm probably saying, would never live, but probably won't be probably will not experience as adults, as human beings, as men in America. But the thing is, when I was saying this, I was saying to my point, I was saying to myself is that it's men, we need to understand if a person, if you see you have a male guy, you have a friend in your life talking about he's contemplating suicide, guys, be there for him, be emotional support system for him. When he turns to you for help, don't treat him like crap and be like, oh, you just joking around with this shit. No, bro. Person team they contemplating suicide, actually listen to that person and hear him out, because if you don't, the next day he might end up killing himself. So that's the sad.
Well, that's right. That's right. It may be a call for help, and if the guy's willing to talk about it, you talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe he is joking. Maybe he's got a funny sense of humor.
Yeah.
But maybe he's saying I'm going to kill myself, and you find out why.
Yeah, but it's the thing. The reason why I think a lot of people feel like when people, this is why I get mad when people joke about suicide. People joke about suicide and they make fun of it, talking about, oh, they just a bunch of bitches. Like, no, when you hear men commit, I think it was me and my friend. It was a male friend of mine. I had like cut all ties with this dude, and it was a conversation about me and my male friend and about the 19-year-old who blew his brains out, and his girlfriend told him. And my friend said some insensitive shit that pissed me the fuck off, and he said some shit that pissed me thoroughly, pissed me the fuck off. And he said, I was asking him about the dude that committed suicide, and I said, how do you feel about the guy? And I said, I think to me he was a punk. He was a punk and a straight pussy. Because what man takes a life away? And I told him, I said, dude, you do want to? I told him that's what I told him. I said, you do understand, man, that you ain't no different. He you can go through the same thing he went through. No, I'm not different. I'm like, you got a girlfriend, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, man, if I call my girlfriend, she'll talk me out of it. I'm like, dude, he's 19 years old. He thought the same thing, and she convinced him to do it. I'm like, dude, you can't shit on somebody else's story. You can't shit on another man's pain, because guess what happened? You can go through the same old shit. So like, you being very insensitive right now, man. You always being dark and shit. Like, I'm like, dude, like, you can't, like, if you see another man suffer, like, this the reason why I talk about me. Even though I talk shit about my blue pill guys, I don't wish to force on none of those guys. You know why? Because I know that shit will ruin that man's life. Here's the thing. That's my point. Like, and that's why you see so many guys when they get married, like, so many guys get married and they be married to a chick for like 20 years, whatever, and they just end up offing themselves because, like, well, fuck it, I lived with women for 20 years, and then they have no other option now. They're like, well, I just want to offer myself and just call it a goddamn day. Like, no, man, fam, I don't fucking joke about that shit. Suicide, nothing to joke about. And he was like, what? He was a bitch ass dude. He was a bitch because he killed himself. I said, fam, you can't joke about that shit because you can be in that same position he is. No, I can't. I'm like, dude, you are just one breakup away from being that dude. No, I'm not. I'm like, dude, it's like, you gotta see it from that perspective. And that's why I get mad. Even when I see guys being insensitive to the subject, like, oh, Rob, something like these guys commit suicide as a bunch of bitches. I'm like, bro, life is hard enough, but being a man in America, especially in this gangster society, is hard as fuck. And for you to sit here and be insensitive to another man's pain, taking, and you actually you enjoying another man suffer. I can't be around you, man. I'm sorry, man. That's some dysfunctional ass behavior to be being around, man.
Well, any man can move into that state. It just takes, 2 or 3 things going really wrong in a guy's life. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't see any future and he's not taking control of his own life. Yeah, he'll have those thoughts. So you got to help the man because you might be next. Everything could go wrong in your life on a flip of a dime.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you literally fucking have to. You have to like, if a man if you came to me and told me, no filter, man, I'm thinking about killing myself, bro. No, like, look, Like, and if you did it, and I didn't step in and say, man, I mean, there's more life to live, man. Put it in God's hands. If you believe in God, you don't believe in God. Like, man, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. And I watch you just do this shit. I'm part of the problem because I could have stopped you from doing something that could have ruined your life. That could have basically kind of ended it all. And all I hear was the gunshot go off. I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Why did I say nothing to him? I'm like, and that's why I try to tell people. When I tell young people, to me in general, because I got my own problems. We all got our own problems in MGTOW. We all got our own personal problems and things we deal with. But to me, this topic is for guys that want to have an open
Yeah,
discussion.
well, we gotta make sure that MGTOW is gonna remain open. Somebody had a suicide line, but get the training, and but we gotta make sure that any man that comes onto any site, if he wants to talk about this, he can talk about it, and it's better to talk about it
Because if
and
you
just
don't,
get
I
it
mean,
out,
yeah,
and that'll make you feel better, and
that's the
just
point. Yeah.
change the subject from that word into another word,
And I think also
and
too,
so that's not
also
even a good word to say.
yeah, I also think it to me. I agree with you. I agree 100% what you were saying. I think that changing,
Oh shit,
change.
I've been cut.
What happened? Um, oh, I think also I think changing the way you changing your thought patterns is so important too. Because if you don't change your thought patterns, I think this is so true though. If you don't change your thought patterns, and if you think, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna kill myself, you go out, you actually attempt it. If you ain't got nobody to talk to, you will just attempt it the next day. I talk about, for me, luckily I had my mom. Well, my mom is still living to this day, and my mom, my sister, and my niece, whatever. But my niece was born around this time when I wanted to commit suicide. But I was saying, like, my whole entire time was like when I was suicide, luckily I had my mom and my sister there and my other family members to help me get through it. But if I didn't have my family members, I isolated from them because I did isolate from them when I was depressed and whatever. But when I finally got out of the mental hospital, I was like, you know what? I didn't let people in. So when I'm breaking down, some things when things are breaking down, I know when to get help, and I know when to get help, and know when not to get help, and when to get help, and when when I need when I'm asking for help. And I think that's the most important thing, that once you recognize that things are breaking down, it makes it a lot more easier to basically say, you know what, this is what it is. And I think we need to understand that that's the point. And I think very important. Still there? A second. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see what else. What else? Let me write me time music to it. Let me see it. Yeah, but like I was saying before, guys, I think suicide, man, we really need to discuss this because to me, I want I want this topic to be this topic needs to be discussed amongst men, not just mental related, not just in mental, but just men in general. We need to have serious conversations. And the reason I bring this topic up too, because when I sit down, because like the male friend, the very few male friends I do have, I try to bring this topic up around them. But most of them spend their time chasing, talking about ass and getting girls and pussy and all the other crazy shit. And like, to me, I avoid those conversations because I'm past the conversations. I'm about men's mental health and men getting the help they need to get here. And it's destructive to be thinking like that. Like, to always, and it's like we really need to have discussions about this, because if we don't have in the discussion about this topic, our issues go unaddressed and not really talked about, no addressed in the media. Yeah. But yeah, my point when it's back to me again. So, but I think overall, like, I want you guys to understand. I want you guys seriously to understand, man, that this topic is very serious, man, and just appreciate, talk to someone, call people you know and love, man, and just let me see what else can I say about the topic before I end this topic before I end the stream. But it was fun, guys. It was a good topic. It was a good topic to discuss. Guys, leave like, subscribe, comment below. This your boy No Filter. Peace. I'm out.